All right, peace and blessings, everybody. It's Monday, June the 18th, the year 2018, and I wanted to bring it to your attention that I got a personal letter from the warden at Ely State Prison. It's a maximum security prison where they have decided to hold my friend, my good friend, Bryce Quellar. The crime of Bryce Quellar is that he made a YouTube video, although if you look it up within the Nevada State Department of Corrections, it says something about a biological agent. It's been brought to their attention multiple times and they refuse to correct it. So Bryce has nothing to do with biological agents. He made a YouTube video and they put him in a maximum security prison. There's a dirty cop in Las Vegas named Kenneth Meade who took marching orders from who's at Interpol? Interpol, that's based out of France. Bryce also made a video that made popular the idea that Michelle Obama is a man, and they've targeted Bryce. They threatened to throw his brother in jail, and they threatened to throw his mother in jail. They SWAT teamed his mother and his brother's house. So I got a piece of mail today, and it's from the warden. His name is Timothy Filson, and the best I can tell, this is his picture right here. If we zoom in, that's him. I believe that's him. Not 100% sure. It could be a guy with the same name, but if you go down here, it talks about, let me go back out, zoom out a little bit. It says Associate Warden of High Desert State Prison and CUSA Legislative Chairman Timothy Filson, Lovelock Correctional Center Warden Quentin Byrne. So I believe this is Timothy Filson. And anyway, I just wanted you guys to see his picture. I tried to send this book right here to Bryce Quellar, and they held it for days. YouTube gave me a strike because I did a book report on this book. It was written by Martin Luther in the 16th century. Okay, it was originally written in German, but it's been translated to English. Martin Luther has been credited with starting the Protestant Reformation, protesting the Catholic Church, although I believe there were Bible-believing followers of the Lord Jesus Christ long before Martin Luther. But he did protest the indulgences and paying the Catholic Church to get away with sins. If you've never heard the song, "A Mighty Fortress is Our God," Martin Luther wrote that song. You need to go listen to it. It's very inspiring. And "Away in a Manger." Have you ever sung "Away in a Manger" on a Christmas? That song was written by Martin Luther. Well, anyway, I've got the book. Here's the book right here. And I tried to send a copy to Bryce Quellar. They held it for 2 weeks and they denied it. I want you guys to see this so that you have an understanding of not only do they put Bryce Matthew Quellar in prison for exercising his freedom of speech, but then they won't even let him have a religious book that was written in the 16th century by a prominent religious figure. So this is from Ely Department of Prisons, Ely State Prison. It's written to my wife and myself from Las Vegas. And let's just read it. From Timothy Filson, Warden, Ely State Prison. Subject, publication review, rejection notice. On May the 17th of 2018. So he wrote this over a month ago. Law and policy. And he gives some kind of policy number. Requires Department of Corrections to prevent offenders from receiving or possessing publications which are detrimental to his rehabilitation or potentially disruptive to security, including subject matter which is sexually explicit, graphically violent, encourages or glamorizes crime, the activities of a criminal gang, or violence against law enforcement, women, children, or members of a particular religion, ethnic group, or race. Administrative Regulation 750.03 establishes a standard for use by institutions and facilities when considering a publication for rejection. The following criteria are considered to be valid basis for rejection. Content that depicts or describes procedures for the construction or use of weapons, ammunition, bombs, or incendiary devices. Content that depicts, encourages, or describes methods of escape from correctional facilities, or contains blueprints, drawings, or similar descriptions of prison institutions. Content that depicts or describes procedures for the brewing of alcoholic beverages or the manufacture of drugs, content that is written in code, content that describes or encourages activities that may lead to the use of physical violence or group disruption, content that encourages or instructs in the commission of criminal activity and depicts criminal activity, displays realistic pictures of guns and or knives suitable for use in making facsimile weapons, content that is sexually explicit, which by its nature or content poses a threat to the security, good order, or discipline of the institution or facilities, facilitates criminal activity. Let me pause right there. I got a phone call and we'll pick up here in a second. Okay, I can't answer that right now. Okay, the next paragraph says, Administrative Regulation 750 further defines sexually explicit and sexually graphic content as any acts of fornication or sexual intercourse, fellatio, cunnilingus, sodomy, bestiality, excretion, sadomastic abuse, masturbation, or the penetration of any part of a person's body with any object or any sexual act which encourages a violation of the law will be considered as sexual activities and graphics. Okay, here's the reason why they denied The Jews and Their Lies by Dr. Martin Luther. The name of the publication, The Jews and Their Lies by Dr. Martin Luther. Reason for rejection. This newsletter promotes racism and gang activity. It's written in the 16th century by Martin Luther, Dr. Martin Luther. Committee denied the book based on content that advocates racial hatred. They haven't figured out that when you go against somebody's belief system, that's not a racial thing. It's a belief system thing. And the Jews they'll never tell you whether they're an ethnicity, whether they're a Jew by DNA, or whether they're a Jew because of their belief system, or whether they're a Jew because of their national citizenship living in Israel. They never answer the question. Whenever someone starts talking about Jews, ask them specifically, are you talking about a DNA marker? Are you talking about a belief system? Or are you talking about a national citizenship to live in Israel? But the prison said that this book advocates racial hatred and gang activity and creates an unsafe environment for offenders and prison staff. Action taken. This publication is being rejected, with a copy of this rejection being sent to the publisher. You may also appeal this decision through inmate grievance process within 10 days of receiving this notice. The publication will be held until the grievance process is concluded. You know what? I am going to write a letter back to them, and I'm going to tell them that you can't advocate racial hatred when you're advocating against a belief system. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. Unless an appeal is granted, you must notify the mailroom officer within 30 days from the date of notice as to the disposition of the publication, which will be to dispose of the publication or to have it mailed at your expense. Publication Review Committee for the week of May the 17th, 2018, signed by Timothy Filson and some other chairman, associate warden, and a member of the correctional caseworker specialist. So I just wanted you guys to know they have rejected the book as advocating hatred towards ethnicities and gang violence, and that's what they think of Dr. Martin Luther. I'm sure if I was to send in a Quran, I'm sure they would let a Quran go in, and it says to kill the infidel wherever you find them. I'm sure they would let a Quran go in. But when it comes to Martin Luther and discussion about what the Jews believe, there ain't no way in hell they're letting this book in the prison. I think that's terrible. I think it's censorship. I think that we live in a society that absolutely suppresses and oppresses the truth. And wasn't it some fancy dude that said, I can't remember his name, but he said, if you want to know who rules the world, just find out who you cannot criticize.